Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a really critical question. How is artificial intelligence fundamentally reshaping the world of work? And maybe more importantly, what does this seismic shift mean for your career options in your future? We're going to try and give you a shortcut, to understanding this rapidly evolving landscape.
Yeah, it's truly a crucial question because AI advancements are moving at lightning speed, and their impact is incredibly complex, really multifaceted. For this deep dive, we've pulled from a diverse stack of sources, everything from, detailed academic research papers to expert commentary, real-world case studies, just to try and give you a truly comprehensive picture of what's actually unfolding.
Okay, so where do we begin to understand this huge shift AI is bringing? Let's start with the big picture, I suppose.
Yeah.
AI is automating tasks at an incredible rate, and it's really changing the job landscape. But is that the whole story? Or are we missing some critical context here beyond just, headlines about job losses?
It's definitely not just about factory floors anymore, not just manufacturing. AI is impacting, well, everything. Customer service, think sophisticated chatbots, retail self-checkout systems, and we're even seeing it make significant inroads into white-collar roles. Things like data analysis, legal support, administrative tasks. The numbers are, frankly, striking. Some studies suggest that by 2030, up to 800 million jobs globally could be affected.
We're 800 million.
Yeah. But here's maybe the deeper insight. This isn't just a scary statistic about jobs disappearing entirely. It's more a profound signal that nearly every sector will face a kind of reevaluation of human versus machine tasks. A lot of roles won't just vanish, but they will radically transform. They'll require entirely new skills from workers.
That's a powerful way to frame it. Transformation, maybe not just eradication. And on that very point, it's worth bringing in the insights from our good colleague, Kevin Brake. Kevin has been researching this topic really intensely, and his work, well, it provides some crucial insights into what's happening right there on the ground. His findings really underscore that AI is indeed reducing career options in many traditional sectors right now. It's pushing us to rethink what a career path even looks like anymore.
Exactly. And what's particularly fascinating here, I think, is how Darren Acemoglu and Simon Johnson highlight that there are actually two distinct paths for this AI revolution. One path, which frankly we're seeing dominate much of the U.S. tech sector right now, is straight-up automation. This is where AI is developed to perform tasks as well as, or maybe even better than, humans, often with the goal of replacing human labor, to reduce costs or increase efficiency. Think about AI models rapidly taking over content generation, basic coding, or even complex data crunching.
Okay, that's a powerful distinction. But
Yeah.
if companies are primarily motivated to cut costs by replacing labor, how realistic is it that they'll genuinely invest in the other path, human augmentation, especially when automation might offer a quicker ROI?
That's the tension.
Yeah. So here's where it gets particularly intriguing, I think. The second path you mentioned. It's all about human augmentation. So this is where AI doesn't just sideline humans, but creates new tasks, new capabilities. It provides better tools, better information for workers. Like, imagine how skilled blue-collar workers, electricians, plumbers, could use AI diagnostic tools to quickly pinpoint complex issues. Or educators maybe leveraging AI to personalize learning plans. Even healthcare providers, right? They could become more productive, take on new, more complex tasks with better information, better tools, all powered by AI. It can free them up for the truly human parts of their jobs.
You're absolutely right to point out that tension, though. Companies are often motivated to replace employees because, let's face it, labor is often seen as unpredictable and expensive. So while the promise of augmentation is definitely there, the current economic incentives often lean towards pure automation. And this means many jobs lost recently. Well, they might not return, which could lead to long-term unemployment for some people, creating a very real challenge for society.
Okay, so given this really rapidly changing landscape, what does this mean for us, for individuals looking at our careers? The sources really seem to lean into this idea of becoming a business of one, maybe, or developing an AI toolkit. We even heard about that young man who reportedly sold his AI leverage business for, what was it, $80 million?
Yeah, quite the story.
A truly remarkable success story. But, what's the key takeaway for someone who isn't necessarily looking to build an empire overnight?
Well, that story isn't just about, a one-off lottery win. I think the key insight is that this young entrepreneur likely identified a very specific niche problem, then leveraged readily available AI tools to solve it at scale, and demonstrated a rapid, unique value proposition. It really highlights the power of combining, say, deep industry insight with accessible AI. It makes rapid innovation possible for almost anyone, really. Success in this new market requires individuals to truly leverage their existing experience, their knowledge. But now with AI tools, it's about making yourself, super powerful and valuable by combining your industry expertise with what some people call an AI tech stack.
Okay, AI tech stack. When you say that, what does that actually look like for someone who isn't a coder? Because I imagine for many listeners, this might sound quite daunting. This brings us back to that fundamental question from Kevin Brake, which I think really sums it up. What should we do to increase our career options?
Right. And when we say AI tech stack, we're generally not talking about needing to be some kind of coding guru. Not at all. It's more about knowing which off-the-shelf AI tools can amplify your existing skills. Think advanced analytics platforms, AI-powered writing assistants, maybe specialized image generators. Depends on your field. It's kind of like knowing which power tools to use for your specific craft. Now, in terms of increasing career options, the roles considered more AI-proof, or let's say human-centric, are those that require cognitive and non-routine skills. We're talking planning, leadership, coaching, critical thinking, complex problem solving, that sort of thing. Also, tasks requiring a distinct human touch: hairstylists, masseuses, maybe high-end customer service roles, and certainly roles with licensing and authorizing bodies like medicine and law. They still have some gatekeeping protection, for now at least.
So it's almost ironic, isn't it, that the very technology designed to make things super efficient also pushes us back towards these very human skills. Which is why the importance of an adaptive mindset and continuous learning just can't be overstated, it seems. This isn't just about being technologically proficient, is it? It sounds more like fostering a culture of ongoing development, experimentation, where people are genuinely curious about what AI makes possible. It really sounds like a shift in how we approach our entire professional lives.
It absolutely is a fundamental shift. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, companies really need to invest in robust reskilling and upskilling programs for their existing talent. As individuals, we just have to embrace lifelong learning, online courses, self-directed habits, whatever works. The sources make a very clear point here. The more narrowly focused we are, the narrower our skill sets will be, making us less able to flex and adapt. So this means not just consuming new information, but actively seeking out new experiences. Maybe even engaging in short-term projects that push you into unfamiliar AI-driven territories. It's really about becoming comfortable with constant iteration, not just learning one new skill once and calling it a day.
Okay, we've talked about what you can do as an individual, but what happens when millions are doing it? What are the ripple effects for society as a whole? It seems clear AI will do pretty significant economic and social shifts.
Yeah, this definitely leads us straight into the ethical implications of job displacement. We face the risk of, well, a widening wealth gap, for one, and labor market polarization, where you have high-paying technical jobs on one end and low-paying non-automatable service jobs on the other, with a kind of shrinking middle class in between. This can lead to pretty significant social disruption, and let's not forget the very real mental health impacts of unemployment. It's a huge societal challenge we're really just beginning to grapple with, I think.
Which is exactly why there's so much discussion around universal basic income, UBI, as a potential solution, right? You hear prominent figures like Elon Musk, Sam Altman advocating for UBI, suggesting it's almost a necessary response to AI-driven job losses. Elon Musk famously said, in a benign scenario, probably none of us will have a job. There would be universal high income. There would be no shortage of goods and services.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds almost like a utopian vision, doesn't it?
It does, yes, on the surface, however. There's a study funded by Sam Altman himself, actually, conducted by Open Research, and it provides a really crucial counter-perspective. While UBI did help cover essential expenses for recipients, which is good, it notably did not lead to significant improvements in employment quality, education, or overall health.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so this raises a really important question. Is UBI alone a comprehensive solution? Or is it merely a stopgap? Something that addresses symptoms rather than the root causes? If it doesn't seem to improve education or long-term employment prospects, what does that tell us about its effectiveness as the sole strategy for the future workforce?
That's a really important nuance to consider. So if UBI isn't some kind of magic bullet, what else does the research suggest we need to consider beyond just income support? This brings up an interesting concept from the source material, symbolic violence. Can you maybe unpack that a little?
Sure. It's a bit academic, but the core idea is about the subtle, often unrecognized ways that dominant ideas or narratives can shape our reality. So in this context, the narrative might be, AI is this unstoppable, universally good force, even if it causes job displacement. And coupling that idea with UBI as the solution, Well, the argument is that this framing can inadvertently mask deeper structural inequalities. It can make existing power imbalances seem natural or inevitable rather than something we can change.
So it reinforces the status quo.
Exactly. It risks reinforcing existing power dynamics rather than truly solving the underlying problems. It becomes a form of, well, symbolic violence, potentially.
Got it. That makes sense.
So, addressing these challenges really requires much more than just UBI. It seems to necessitate significant social changes, like management viewing labor not just as a cost to be minimized, but as a key resource whose productivity should be augmented by AI. The tech sector probably needs to shift its focus towards prioritizing human complementary tools, not just replacement tools. And labor, workers themselves, need to have a stronger, more organized voice in how technology is actually used and integrated into the workplace.
Right. Having a seat at the table.
Precisely. And policymakers have a crucial role here, too. For example, maybe revising tax codes to equalize the burden between labor and machines. That's one idea floated. And definitely investing in human complementary AI research rather than just automation-focused development. Ultimately, the goal, I think, should be to foster what some call computational justice. Basically, making sure AI works for everyone by ensuring equitable access, fair representation, and just outcomes across all of society.
We've covered a lot of ground today, really dug into AI's profound impact on jobs and the economy. It seems clear that while, yes, significant challenges exist, there are also incredible opportunities, but they seem geared towards those willing to adapt, to learn, and maybe lean into those uniquely human capabilities.
Absolutely. And it's just so crucial to reiterate that the future isn't set in stone. It's not predetermined. The path AI takes is ultimately a choice one that requires a collective effort from individuals, from companies, from governments, all working together to shape a future where technology truly enhances human potential and creates, hopefully, shared prosperity.
So what stands out to you from this deep dive? Maybe it's that idea of the AI tech stack or perhaps the nuances around UBI we discussed. We'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts and questions. Please leave a comment below and maybe hit that like button. It really helps more learners discover this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those interested in exploring this topic even further, you can find more great information from organizations like the Stanford Social Innovation Review, Frontiers in Artificial Intelligence. Forbes is covering it a lot. Also, Sogeti Labs, the Future Skills Center, and Training Journal. Lots of good resources out there.